guys, Brian and Jeff with WorkshopAddict.com, and it is March, the best time in the world to test out blowers.
In your mind, it was hard trying to find something to blow around.
It sucks this time of the year when somebody comes out with a new tool and we have to try to give you guys an idea of what you might want to buy. But we have the new RYOBI 40-volt brushless backpack blower, model number RY40440, up against the Ego brushless 56-volt backpack blower, model number LB6002. Now, both these guys come with 5.0 amp hour batteries. Obviously, the RYOBI is 40 volt, the Ego is 56. But what we want to do here is just give you an overview of what you're getting, what the pros and cons of are each. The RYOBI is $269, the Ego $299.
And they're both sold at the same place, so if you guys are looking for one, you might be able to get your hands on both of them, see which one feels better.
Two totally different units in the way that they are built, with the Ego being more like having a handheld blower just attached to a backpack.
Yeah, it's kind of a standalone unit where the RYOBI kind of resembles a gas-powered.
Where there's a larger fan inside here that pushes the air around. The RYOBI is rated at 625 CFM, 145 mile an hour. The Ego is rated at 600 CFM, 145 mile an hour. So they both put out very comparable results. Now, first, we went out, blew some leaves around. They're dead leaves.
Yeah, well, most leaves are dead when they're underground.
They're dry leaves is what I meant.
Okay.
You're totally right. They are very dry. They are left over from last year. Differences that we've seen in use is more of kind of some features. I think while I was going through there in the beginning, I could set the cruise and just turn on my turbo and turn off the turbo. I didn't have to hold the cruise button.
The Ego doesn't have a cruise. It's got a turbo button.
What looks like is your cruise is your variable speed.
Right.
So in our case, or on the RYOBI, you just push your button to whatever you want this thing to go on. But most of the time, I had the turbo button on.
I did too.
So we've said before in this, backpack blowers, we're running them wide open 99% of the time.
Anytime I got a leaf blower in my hand, it's turbo on, wide open.
So with that said, they were close. The Ego seems to turn on a little faster, but other than that, they were
like
really
we were
close.
Talking. You're spinning a fan this big around versus a fan this big around.
That's true. So the RYOBI spins up a little bit slower. There is definitely a tone difference in sound, and you can probably hear that while you're listening. You know when the Ego hits the
Ego's
turbo.
got more of a whistle to it, where the RYOBI it's definitely quieter.
It's interesting. From here, we went into another test with some, they're just kids' balls.
Beach balls
they're
and
small
volleyballs.
things, yeah. So these small balls were interesting to work with outside. There's a little bit of a breeze. You can see that the Ego pops them up really fast, where the RYOBI kind of brings them up nice and controlled, and that's the big difference here in how fast they turn on.
Yeah.
Once you hit turbo, they were all over the place and fairly close as far as power. One would dip up higher than another one, and then they would move around. But
yeah, power-wise, they were real close. I mean, they were within inches as far as height.
Yeah.
So
then when we went to volleyballs, that's a lot heavier of a ball, so they didn't go as high. So it was a little bit easier for us to see what was happening and a little bit easier to understand the power. Rather than having something that was pretty easily blown around. And at that point in time, those two volleyballs, one would be higher than the other would be higher. They were very, very close. So that was kind of surprising. I was expecting somebody just to be blown out of the water.
We didn't even think that either one of them would do the volleyball at first.
No.
So we were surprised that it did work.
So power-wise, with what you're getting, they're pretty close to the same. If you want instant power on, the Ego has it. If you want to have something that's a little bit more controlled, the RYOBI has that. I don't know that you can control the Ego from just popping on real quick.
No, it's like that all the time. And the one thing, if you're going to be using these for, say, an hour, you know, the RYOBI has the option of putting 2 batteries on it, so it's going to double your runtime. If you're going to be using it for a long time, the quieter one might have a lot of benefits.
The quietness is interesting because RYOBI claims that this one is the quietest backpack blower in the industry. So we don't have a very scientific decibel meter, but what we used is our phone with the sound meter, ran the RYOBI, and basically said, what is it next to your right ear and what is it next to your left ear? And the RYOBI's highest rating was like 74-ish around the right ear, which would have been the loudest. When we switched over to the Ego, that was 79 to 80 at the right ear. So it's a significant difference.
Just by running both of them, you can tell easily that this one's a lot louder.
And the RYOBI has a nice low tone where the Ego has this high tone, which is a little, sometimes that low tone's a little bit more tolerable for long periods of time.
Correct.
But we did miss that. Be able to hold two batteries here, they are sequential. So it'll drain the highest fueled, highest charged battery first, and then it'll move over to the other one. It would be interesting if they could drain them both at the same time, maybe get a little bit more pull, but I don't think you need it. I go back to, RYOBI's got a huge base of tools that you can go on and use. But other differences from that is the turbo button, where you were talking cruise on the RYOBI. You can have the RYOBI set on cruise wherever you want, push the turbo button, and it will stay going on turbo for 2 minutes.
Where the Ego, you have to hold the button all the time.
If you got a backpack blower on, you're trying to remove yourself from hanging on to something. The cruise is just a nice option.
Yeah.
They both adjust forward into the arms. You can move everything around. They both have adjustments on the actual backpack area. The Ego's got a little bit more of a...
It's got two straps, one a belly strap and then a chest strap, so it holds it a little tighter to you. But it's total different design too.
It is completely different design. It does, the Ego also stores a little bit nicer where you can just pull that up, but that's kind of more of the I'm a handheld blower attached to a backpack design.
Yeah.
Where this is kind of where you're at with
That's
a
your original backpack.
Backpack blower.
And the gas blower that we have at work is almost identical to that.
It's a design thing. It all comes back to design and what you're looking for. There is a significant difference in battery size when we look at the RYOBI 40 volt compared to an Ego 56, and we're both talking 5 amp hour.
And you would think with the size difference of them batteries, we only got not quite 2 minutes longer run time out of this than that.
Out of the Ego than the RYOBI?
The Ego, yes, I'm sorry.
So 2 minutes, not even.
It's not even, it wasn't even 2 minutes.
So there is a serious efficiency factor in the RYOBI. There's no doubt that it's a lot more efficient in its design. And maybe that's just, it's a design thing. Maybe that's why all the gas ones are this way. They're more efficient.
Maybe.
Either way, guys, there's $30 difference between the two. Ego's got a bunch of lawnmowers out. They have some trimmers. They've got
hedge trimmers, lawnmowers, chainsaws.
Yeah, about the same thing RYOBI has. RYOBI has a little bit more of them. The price difference on these is $30, but when you get into the price difference on a lawnmower, you're talking $299 and $399 compared to $599 and $899 on the Ego side. So it's a tough call as to where you're going to put your money on some of this and what you're going to build your brand in outside. There is a definite cost to go into battery operated equipment, and that cost is the maintenance of the battery. You're not buying fuel, but you're going to have to buy some batteries, and you might pay a little bit more up front for what you're getting. Either way, we both do it.
Yeah.
It's what we use all the time.
It was a great change for me, not had just the noise, the smell, the storage of gas. It's great.
It's worth it.
Yeah. I mean, if you've got, I wouldn't go when I had 3-4 acres, I wouldn't have made the switch, but now to a smaller yard, I love it.
I totally agree. Even when we had 5 acres, I loved the battery operated string trimmers.
The string trimmers, yes, but I mean, to go as far as a mower.
But now they're coming out with some battery operated zero turns. RYOBI's going to have a new battery operated zero turn out this year, which is going to be interesting, quite large, I guess. there's a lot of things happening, and I think the battery stuff's going to edge up there and maybe start to come down in price and make it.
Why not? We got cars out there.
We'll see. Yeah, you know, when you look at Tesla is not looked at as a lesser of a car because it's battery.
Oh, no.
But a lot of people look at battery operated outdoor power equipment and think that it's lesser than gas. Why?
I guess it's, I mean, you're comparing a Tesla to a leaf blower? It's
No, I think what happened in the tool thing is everybody started to try to get out with this battery operated stuff so early that people don't realize where it's at now.
Yeah, there's been so many upgrades and improvements over the last 5-10 years that
right. All we used was steel. And we can come over to this stuff and feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to tell you something. Either way, guys, we appreciate you hanging out with us, going over these two things. We hope we've helped you out. I know there's only a $30 difference between these two backpack blowers, but look at what's more out there and what you might invest more into long-term as to your battery platform so you can make a good decision on that. Make sure you give us a like in this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications. We thank you for your time. Have a great day.